Okay, what are your core values for life? Pause. I actually want you to answer that. Answer that right now for yourself. What are your core values for life? Chances are, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. The chances are, and this is not me just pulling this out of nowhere, chances are that if you were put up in like up against the wall and someone asked you what were your core values for life, you probably wouldn't be able to answer that boom, boom, boom. You'd probably go into like, oh, well, this matters to me, these things matter to me. My experience has been when I ask women, what are your 3 core values for life? Or what are your core values for life? Point form, most women are not able to answer that question. What are your core values? Now, why am I so emphatic about this? There's a reason I'm so emphatic about this. Your core values for your life are literally everything that has to do with why you choose to do the things you do, why you choose to get out of bed in the morning, why you keep going when you want to quit, why you find the energy and the motivation. They are your compass. They're your due north. They are your umbrella. They are everything. If you do not have core values, you absolutely, after listening to this today, need to sit down and start deciding what yours are. So let's back it up because it's interesting, right? Every single corporation has core values for their company. If you work for a corporation, if you own a company, you have core values, integrity, communication, whatever those core values are. We do these things for our business. We do these things for our company, but we don't do these things for ourselves. And it's so important because business is just a part of you. It's a part of your life. It's not you. What is governing you? When you leave this world, what matters to you that you leave this world having left a mark for your own self, a mark for the world, whatever the case may be? What are the things that you are striving for every single day? Your core values are your why. So let's back it up. Okay. And this is how, for me, I'm going to tell the story because again, I tell stories because I really firmly believe that through stories, we find an ability to relate. And that's how I teach. I teach through experience. I teach through storytelling. So I have a quote on my leg. And the quote, a tattoo quote, it's not just like a piece of paper plastered to my leg. I have a tattoo on my leg that says, have a goal so big, you will surely fail unless God or divine forces intervenes. And I read that quote several years ago, literally an hour later, got in the car, went to my tattoo shop and had it tattooed on my leg. And about a year or so later, someone asked me, what are those goals? Like, what is that? And for some reason, my brain didn't hear it as goals. It actually hurt me. I heard it as like the immensity of when I leave this world, what do I want to leave this world having accomplished? Like, what is that for me? What are my core values? And I was able to answer it like boom, boom, boom. So my core values are happiness, impact, and mastery. And ironically, the acronym spells the word HIM and have a goal so big, divine forces, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of all works, right? HIM, happiness, impact, and mastery. Those are my core values. Now, what does that mean in relation to my life so that you can help integrate it into your life? Now, those are my core values. You have to find yours, and I'm going to help guide you on that. For me, when I want to quit, when life gets hard, when challenges are thrown my way, if you know my story, if you've been following along, the last couple of years have been intense. If you've watched my Legacy Makers episode, you'll know that there's been a lot going on. And somebody asked me, how do you keep going when all of this is happening around you? And I was like, well, that's easy. My core values. When I leave this world, I want to have achieved the highest levels of happiness I possibly can. I want to impact the most people that I can possibly impact. And I want to master the greatest version of myself. So I always say that I'm going to die the most enlightened motherfucker on the planet because every single day I wake up and I pursue my core values. I'm not pursuing something outside of myself. Every single thing in my life is attached down to my core values. That is what governs my decisions. That's what governs my vision. That is my why. So what you have to have for yourself is your why. Why are you doing it when it hurts? Why are you forcing yourself to wake up when you want to go back to bed? What is getting you off the bed? You know how as women, we all like get out of the shower, the towel on our head, the towel wrapped around us, and we take those few minutes on a bad day on the edge of the bed, maybe crying, just like, and then 5 minutes, you keep going. What keeps you going? When you leave this world, what is your legacy for you? Your core values. So how do you create your core values? It's one of the things that I always say. I never give a concept without teaching you the practical application of how to integrate it into your life. So the first question I want you to ask yourself, and you can literally go through these step by step. The first question I want you to ask yourself is, I want you to forecast forward. As morbid as it sounds, forecast forward to the end of your life. What do you want to leave this world having accomplished? What matters to you? What matters to you? So, and I'm going to tell you, very rarely is it, financial success. There's a study that was done, years ago by a palliative care nurse. It's a very famous study on everybody's deathbed. She asked, what do you wish you had done more of in your life? Nobody said, I wish I worked more. I wish I had more money. They said, I wish I'd spent more time with my family. I wish I had more fun. I wish I laughed more. So think about the end of your life. What do you want to leave this world having accomplished, having lived into, having mastered? And start writing a list. Start just literally writing a list of words. The things that matter to you, joy, gratitude, faith, legacy, whatever. I have a client who, her core values are ripples, education, and conversation. Ripples meaning, like everything that I do ripples out to the world around me. So that's her core. I want to have a ripple effect around me. So your core values have to be specific to you. Start writing that list. Start writing those words down. After you've written all those words down, because you're going to have likely more than 3, sometimes it's hard to disseminate down into 3 things. I encourage you not to have more than 4 core values personally, because if you have more than four core values, then it becomes like a list, a task list. We're not looking for a task list. We're looking for something that you can lean on in the hard times and realign yourself. And I'm going to talk to you about how to use your core values from a tool perspective as well once you have them. So you have this list now of all these words. Take a moment with like a highlighter or a pen, go through the list and highlight or circle the ones that hit you the most. That absolutely, I could have used the word joy, but happiness is more impactful for me. So happiness is the word that I picked for that. So go through and highlight and circle the words that hit you the most. Then start to narrow it down and find 3 or 4. What are the 3? And oftentimes, like you can blend like 2 of them together. So, for me, living a very grateful life is a really important thing. But I also believe that if I'm mastering the greatest version of myself at the same time as I'm practicing happiness, I'm going to be grateful. So pick the words that hit you. Those become your core values. The one thing you have to understand, they don't have to be perfect. You can change them. So what I want you to do more than anything is I want you to get started. I don't want you to sit on this for the next 3 weeks, 3 months. I want you to actually write the list and then take that list and start to implement it. So now you have these core values. What do you do with them? Because otherwise it's, again, just information without integration, and that's going to be useless. So now we have these core values. There's a lot of different ways that you can use them in your life, but you can use them to gauge and assess everything that you're doing in your world. Does this align with my core values? Is this bringing me happiness? Is this bringing me impact? Is this me mastering what I want to master for myself, just to lean on mine? So I every now and then I take my core values and I write them down in my journal and I basically audit my life. How am I doing here? Am I happy? Am I mastering? And what you need to understand is they're not always going to be in harmony. They're not always going to be in perfect balance. There's been times in my life where my happy factor is a little low because I've been busy mastering a lot of growth and a lot of challenge. But at a certain point, I have to look at it and say, okay, I need to rebalance that. I need to bring more happiness in. And I need to elevate that. I always come back to them and realign myself. So audit your life with them and find out, are you living in alignment to what your core values actually are? And you might actually find that you're not. You might do this exercise and go, whoa, this is kind of overwhelming. But the truth of the matter is not much of my life is aligned to what actually really matters to me. And it's okay. It's okay if that's the case. You don't have to change everything right away. You don't have to change everything right now, but start to look at how you can align. How can I bring more happiness in? Maybe you can't change everything at once. How can I bring more mastery in? Adopt one thing. So that's the way to kind of use it proactively. I always like looking at these tools from the standpoint I can use these tools proactively by auditing and, reflecting moving forward, but I can also use them reactively. When I'm in a situation that I want to actually assess, how can I change a situation? So, if, for example, if I'm going through, a particularly challenging time, or one of my clients, has had find themselves in a funk for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, I'll always encourage them, go and ask yourself, basically ask myself, where are my core values? Am I living in this, right? So it's reactively based on the situation you're going in and you're self-reflecting. And it's so interesting because as you start reflecting, and when I say reflecting, I actually mean journaling. I encourage you, pick up a pen and paper. Am I happy right now? Am I happy? And start writing. And as you're doing that, you might be sitting here wondering that sounds like a lot of work. But I'm telling you right now, as you start writing, you're going to know the answer right away. I'll never forget, there was a moment several years ago where I was just in a funky place, and I sat down and I was journaling about this, and I was like, well, am I impacting? Oh, hell yeah, I'm impacting big time. Am I mastering? I was mastering everything because life was throwing at me from every single angle. But when I got to happiness, it was like a brick hitting me upside the head. Immediately, I knew. I was like, I don't know when the last time I felt super, super happy was, which is okay. I don't beat myself up about that. I had a lot going on. I was keeping all the balls in the air, but then I had a choice. I can realign or I cannot realign. So I proactively started doing things to bring more happiness in. So your core values, they are your why, right? We have to have something. Why am I pursuing being a bodybuilder when it's exhausting? Why am I, building what I'm building with no woman left behind, even though there's so much, in terms of the, how much has to go into it? Why am I choosing to do things that are healthy for me? Why am I choosing these things? Those things have to be intrinsic, not external yourself. So it can't be about what he thinks, she thinks, they think. It can't be about the followers. It can't be about the way you look. The greatest way to move forward consistently and keep choosing you is to have core values that are so deeply embedded in you. You are internally inspired every single day to work on you. And that's what core values give you. So ladies, you need to take time. And you have to stop and ask yourself, do I know what my core values are? And if not, it's absolutely time to create them. Remember, nothing changes without action. Listening is the spark, but action is where the fire ignites. If this episode moved you, do what bold women do. Rate it, share it, tag me at the Carrie Campbell _experience, and pass it on to the ones in your life who need this message. Don't keep the inspiration to yourself. And if you're ready to go deeper, come find me at the Carrie Campbell _experience. For the women who refuse to be left behind, join us inside the No Woman Left Behind movement, a community where we rise together, rewrite our stories, and claim the future that's already ours. Hold the vision, trust the process, commit to today. Until next time, let's redefine, reclaim, and rise together.